This is the Underhill Conservation Commission August 5th special meeting, and we have begun the meeting now at 6:49. So welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice to see everyone here. Is anybody, I don't see anybody calling in, so it is us only. I don't even see Patrick. I usually hear from him. Anyway, we can meet. So welcome. Yeah. It's really good to see people. Yeah. Does anyone have an adjustment to the agenda?
I have something to bring up at the end of the meeting under new business. And we need to talk about the bird walk.
Oh, yes. Is that what you wanted to, or something else?
Oh, something else, just about how to maybe rearrange where we pass the minutes, and an idea about how minutes could work so that we have some space for writing notes. If that makes any sense.
It doesn't, but we'll add it to the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. So I see that no one's here from no members of the public are here. And so has everyone had a chance to look at the June 10th minutes?
Yes,
Yes.
as always, they are great, Lori.
Yes, they are.
And thank you for putting draft on it. I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
that.
know. I was just trying to figure out how to get it off for when they're not drafting.
We have,
Oh,
I think I got it.
oh, okay, yeah. I think it's just an unclick something.
Yep.
Okay.
yes. Okay, everyone's read the minutes? Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I approve that the minutes be, I motion that the approval happen.
And
I'll second it.
okay, discussion about anything in the minutes?
Well, you know what? I could ask this question, Karen, that I think that you may have brought up, and I just am having a mental spasm on it. Under other items, Lori, you put that we're talking about maybe there could be some neighborhood, groups of neighborhood people to look at invasives and this and that. And then you said fonts like this could be put on Penny's Google Doc mentioned in the brainstorming list crosswalk continuation. I didn't remember what a crosswalk continuation meant, or I don't.
The crosswalk is what we're creating, isn't it?
Is that the name of a form? Is that the name of what you call
I don't know.
a?
I got it from somewhere.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I don't know.
Karen, is that the name of how you lay things out in like a
Well,
spreadsheet, or
yeah, sort of.
I guess I called it crosswalk because in the agenda above, in the bold
yeah.
at 8:18,
Oh,
that's what it was called in the agenda.
Crosswalk.
Brainstorming list crosswalk
oh,
continuation.
crosswalk.
Okay.
Maybe that's a name. I'm just not familiar with it. Okay. That sounds good. I thought it meant like a physical crosswalk.
Right.
So
I don't
I
know. That's what
wasn't
we
quite
called it in the agenda. So
Yeah, okay.
I was rolling.
I'm
with
just
it, I
I'm just behind on terms.
think.
Okay, that sounds great.
Anyone else have comments? No? Well, then all in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes, it's unanimous. So, yeah. Minutes passed. Okay. Now, this is the around the room. So that's where people have little tidbits they want to share.
That happens, yeah. I didn't bring my phone, so I'm just going with.
Or without tidbits, or, okay.
Tidbits.
Did you do a nature watch walk? Or is that coming up? For the MMs?
Oh, no, it's not till September, or, yeah, September. Not at Crane Brook.
Well, I'll start. I had the opportunity to be down in Long Island about a month ago now, I guess, visiting my son, and we were biking. So I brought my bike, and we were biking around, and it's really quite lovely. And they actually have a lot of preserves and everything down there, so people can walk in, forests and conserved land, and it's quite lovely. But the one thing that I've noticed is it's invaded with knotweed and Asiatic bittersweet. I got so mesmerized. I'm riding my bike and I'm riding by these places, and they're so beautiful. But then the Long Island also has it.
Karen, you reported that the last time we met at the Maine Botanical Garden.
Yes. So now I'm beginning to have a different idea about invasives. I mean, are they now invasives, or do they just?
Oh, right. Maybe they're just inhabitants now.
Yeah, maybe.
There's a
Yeah.
huge increase in, what's it called? Purple loosestrife everywhere. And I had this vision of people driving around our countryside thinking, oh, what beautiful wildflowers. And I was thinking, oh dear.
And knotweed's pretty beautiful too when it flowers, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so
Anyway, wow.
so that's one little bit that I have to report. The other one is I'm so excited that this year I have a scarlet tanager and his lady,
Oh,
and they are so beautiful and so bright. And this last week, I didn't know I had a female too. And so first I saw him, and then I saw this sort of, it looked like a canary, kind of. Not really, but, from my fuzzy eyes. I couldn't get the binoculars out, but it's a female. I looked it up in my book.
wow.
So
That is
what are they doing? Are they way up high?
They were-
Tree? Or, I'm just curious about
height wise.
how you're seeing them.
Yes, so I saw, I've seen him fairly high, and don't ask me about height, but at least 20 feet off the ground. That's pretty high, right? More than that, probably. But in flight, when I saw them in flight, they were not that high. They were going from spot to spot, making their way over, I think, to the pine trees, but they weren't high. No, they were sort of, I'd say maybe 10 feet maybe above the ground. I was surprised to see them. They might have been making their way to my blueberry bushes.
So
They were going in that direction.
it might suggest they have babies, that you'd see the babies sometime, or?
I've been looking around for them. All the babies that I really see seem to be, what kind of birds are they?
Mine are all robins.
Last year I had many, many families of robins, but no, they're phoebes. A lot of baby phoebes around this year. But no, not many robins at all in my home. Anyway, those are my bird
They're good
sightings.
ones.
Yeah.
We were on the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail riding a week or so ago, and right in Hyde Park, there's that wonderful pilot project to get rid of knotweed, and it's actually quite successful.
Oh,
They've used screen, and I noticed there's a patch that had the screen on it for a number of years, and they're just little teeny sprigs of knotweed that you could go right with the hand trowel and lift. And I just thought that was pretty cool. They've been working on that for 3 or 4 years.
I think it's pretty neat that they market it or advertise it on the rail trail.
Right. It's really neat that lots of good information for people to take in. Anyway, that's my little bit.
Ooh, I like that.
It was an uplifting experience. Less than more.
Right. I have something I can read. It's, when I was trolling the internet, there's a, and I can hand this to you, Lori. There's a backyard stream repair series from the Penn State Extension Service. It's online. It starts August 27th, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there are a total of 5 meetings for $30. And they say, is your stream getting deeper or wider? Are you losing some of your land every time it rains? Have you wondered why your stream banks are changing so rapidly and what you can do about it? They have this series for repairing your backyard stream. Each session will present a step-by-step DIY process for homeowners and landowners. The techniques are meant to be simple and affordable, and the participants receive a complimentary copy of Simple Solutions for Your Eroding Backyard Stream. And the review said, best series in repairing riparian buffers. Excellent series with teams of experts providing well-organized information online, in print and in chat when answering student questions. Workshop provided an overview of stream processes and restoration, stream quality assessment, case studies with photos, techniques with diagrams, restoration planning, native plant guidelines, and additional resources. So I thought that's pretty neat. There are a lot of people with backyard streams. I don't happen to have one, but
When does it start again?
that starts August 27th through September 10th, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Pass that to Lori.
Thank you.
And that is, so there's a link.
There is a link, yeah.
Yeah, you'll capture that, right, Lauren?
Yes.
Please.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Or I can send it to you hard
That's
copy.
very important right now for me.
Is it, do you have a stream, or you're just thinking about other streams in the area?
Well, I have a stream that feeds the pond,
Oh,
but I've noticed that the main stream, the Mill Brook, is changing.
oh, yes,
I
right.
mean, it's not on my property, but I'm just curious as to
Right.
whether, yeah, so.
Right.
I do. It's good. Other? Around the-
You know, I don't have anything thrilling planned, but I was just thinking about the cyanobacteria in the lake. And just a couple days ago, seeing it kind of for the first time, not like a full bloom, but it was definitely present to the point where I was like, no, I'm going to swim in that. And I don't normally see it in Mounts Bay where we are most often. So just kind of keeping an eye out for that. I don't know if there are any local Underhill like ponds or waterways that are affected by it. But.
There have been, actually, the Cranebrook Trail has had it in the past. And they've had to post,
Oh, wow.
2 summers ago was one of them.
You mean on land?
Yeah.
Yeah, there, you know where the water has a lot of minerals,
Oh, yeah,
It's
right.
rusty.
Oh, right,
and
right.
the water there, at times has had cyanobacteria. State team, we had it tested. It was
A couple
hosted.
years in a row.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So is that the left side of the trail when you're walking out?
If you're
Or, like,
going north, it's on the left side of the trail.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's such a little puddle, but that smaller area, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
Does it come from pollution, or does it come from, do you know what it comes from?
Excess nutrients in the water. I think it is like a
Oh.
natural
Oh,
occurrence, but sometimes just a buildup of nutrients that aren't being filtered out.
and that's dangerous for animals, isn't it?
it is,
Yeah.
it's poisonous.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it?
I mean, you could get sick.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
And the kind of weather that we've been having is so feeds the bacteria
I see.
well.
Yeah.
Mm.
any little tidbits you wanna?
No, I mean, I haven't really done any fun biking or outdoor. We've been doing a lot of swimming lessons this summer, so I haven't really been in nature as much as I would like to. Don't have anything too precious.
So you said swimming?
Yeah.
But no swimming in cyanobacteria.
I hope not. You know, you never know, but
Well, if it's the town pond,
pond.
well, they have the aerating, they've really improved the pond since my
Yeah.
kids went there.
Yeah,
And Betsy's probably.
Yeah.
yeah.
thing. Huh?
Okay, I think then we've sort of all gone around the room with little bits, things. How about Penny is going to give us a small talk on her favorite thing, which is
My favorite,
jumping worms.
And I'm keeping it very short, so I'm actually reading, so it's only a few minutes, and then I brought some that I can show people if they want to see it. The invasive Asian jumping worm is an earthworm. So we have European earthworms and Asian jumping worms. Neither is a native to Vermont. And that means that they have not evolved with the environment, the flora and fauna in Vermont. So there is a potential for them to then possibly not work well with our environment. And that's the case with Asian jumping worms. European jumping worms also are not native and can do harm, but Asian jumping worms definitely can do harm. So they're considered invasive. They live for 1 year. They hatch from a cocoon in April, usually. They are adults by the end of July when they start reproducing, up to 60 cocoons in that year. They die typically in December. Rather than a vertical habitat like European earthworms, which come up to the surface and bring organic matter down, they move and live in the top 3 to 5 inches of soil and are voracious eaters of organic matter. They leave behind their castings in place of the organic matter in your garden, which can make it more difficult for seedlings to grow because it's very erosive. And they leave behind their castings in place of the duff layer in the forest, which houses the valuable seed bank in which the seed bank requires for germination. So that will result in a change in forest ecology with possibly significantly less diversity in forest undergrowth. So it's not a good thing for them to be anywhere near the forest, and we are near the forest in Underhill. They cannot be eradicated, but their population density can be affected by individual vigilance. So I'd like to suggest 3 levels of response if you have jumping worms. The least level of effort and time is to identify them correctly and report them on iNaturalist, which is the platform that the state of Vermont uses to monitor the jumping worm problem. And the next level is don't spread them on your own property or to other properties. And the highest level of effort and time is reducing their density. I do that by hand picking and disposing of them correctly and solarizing or composting the organic material to kill the cocoons. If you'd like more information on practical techniques for managing jumping worms on your property, I can be contacted at pennymillervt@gmail.com. I've been to a number of properties to help identify whether or not they have jumping worms and would love to collaborate with anyone with interest to create a jumping worm posse to visit properties to ID jumping worms and educate homeowners. There you have it. That's it. Now, would you like to see castings, cocoons, jumping worms? I have them all, and we can do it quickly.
All of it.
All of it? Okay.
Can I ask a jumping worm question?
Oh, certainly.
If I found a jumping worm and fed it to my chicken,
Yeah.
would that be an appropriate disposal technique?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we tried that today and the chickens weren't interested at all.
Do you have jumping worms?
Yep.
And the chickens didn't like them.
Didn't respond at all. I mean, it might just be our chickens, not to discourage.
Do they eat regular worms?
They eat worms and bugs and mealyworms and
The jumping worms also make a funny.
They're very vigorous,
Vigorous.
and they may
That might-
taste a little different too. Someone that came to a recent workshop of mine said that her children have started eating jumping worms, but they're not the same as her.
oh my goodness.
Started eating them?
Yes, picked them up and ate them when we were little kids. So these are jumping worm cocoons, and I may have actually an European earthworm cocoon in here. We have 3 species of jumping worms, so the size of the cocoons are different. And this is just an example of what the size of cocoons compared to mustard seeds and peppercorns.
Oh,
Here are jumping worm castings, although I have seen castings not too dissimilar to this in places where people have a lot of earthworms, European earthworms. So the castings are not necessarily indicative of jumping worms, but when the
You've seen
jumping
the
worms
cast.
are extremely voracious, they can create inches and inches deep of castings. Okay. I have that chat better.
So are these all castings? Is that? What?
Those little nodules.
Okay.
Look like, back in the day, Lori, where you
The
were
little
born,
crunch,
there was
bunch
there
crunch?
was
Mm-hmm.
this instant coffee. I don't know if they
Okay.
still make it or not. It kind of looks like that.
Wait, which one's it's the round, little round things, right?
Yes,
Yes,
it's what looks like
okay.
instant coffee, yeah.
Yes. And then this is,
Those are cocoons.
And see how the cocoons are really hard to identify in them.
they look like little
They-
mustard seeds,
they
black
do.
mustard seeds.
Yeah, they do. And they don't just sit like that on the soil. They're covered. They're often in castings or they're in clumps of soil. So you can't ever just look at soil and see them. You have to wash the soil to get to them. So I have a very hard time finding European earthworms now on my property because I have so many jumping worms. And the earthworms, I think maybe in the heat of summer, they go down lower. So
Right.
earthworms are
Oh, you're putting them out for
are
us.
logier. They are, jumping worms have higher hydrostatic pressure in their bodies. So they're very thick and very, very stout. And so when they move, they have hairs all around them compared to European earthworms. So when they move, they wiggle back and forth. European earthworms, they're just very floppy and they're very mucousy. And these are European earthworms. So you see how they creep along? This guy was creeping along. See how mucusy he is, that he's covered with dirt? This is a new sort of baby earthworm that is I just found that he was just hatching. And so they're very sort of floppy and flaccid.
Are they living in harmony with the others?
I don't think so much, Karen. I think jumping worms will outcompete these guys. So that's so you understand that, okay, that's an earthworm and that looks like an earthworm, right? And I can just
Oh, yeah.
leave
This
them.
isn't your first.
I-
No. Betsy's probably not all that interested in these worms that are attacking her flowers right now. And so for the most part, when earthworms move, they I can't do it with my finger, but they scoot around, they pull themselves like an inchworm, pull themselves like that. So jumping worms don't move like that. These are jumping worms. I am infested with these jumping worms.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
sorry.
look how big those are.
There are, so you see how they move differently. They wiggle back and forth, and you see how these are actually quite they have more dirt on them than typically because often they are very glossy and they shine in the sun and they're almost iridescent. And there are 3 different species that we typically have in Vermont, a smaller one, a medium one, and a huge. These are the medium.
Whoa.
The huge are really quite huge. So these guys
How long
are,
have you had them?
I have no idea other than I found them not last summer, but the summer before.
So they're your pets.
They are, yes. They are pet jump. So these are all many castings here. They're so voracious because they only live 1 year and they have to produce 60 cocoons. So they go through organic matter and eat like crazy. And my neighbors, I just went down and identified their jumping worms, and they said their gardens were not doing well. So what they had to do was bring in more organic matter, which, ironically also feeds the jumping worms. But it's sometimes what you need to do if you only have castings now in your garden. You need to add organic matter or your seedlings won't grow well.
I'm wondering if you change the pH of the soil. It might not necessarily be good for some plants, but
Well,
with others.
That's been addressed as not a really useful or viable solution, but a lot of people wonder about that. There is no cure for this anymore.
I could bring in horse manure for you, Betsy.
Yeah. Oh,
Are there any natural predators?
No, I think a little bit. Some voles will eat them and some chickens will eat them, but there are so many, they outcompete everything. There's no real,
Robins are not
no,
particularly attractive to them.
no. I think birds are, and where they are native, they just grew up in that environment, so there are many, many different forces in the environment that keep them in balance, so we just don't. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. It's strange, I don't mind earthworms at all, but then you see the jumping worms in there.
They're so vigorous.
Is there any research, like, do they prefer acidic soil or?
No, they just prefer organic soil. That's
Okay,
it. Organic matter.
organic matter.
Organic matter.
And,
Okay.
okay. All right, well, thank you. So,
Certainly.
the next item has to do with the Natural Resources Inventory Mapping Committee. I've been working with Arrowwood on a natural resources inventory report. It is now out, and we will be have a joint meeting with the natural resources people, which are Penny and I and Sandy and Ryan Oakes.
Karen, did you say we'd have a joint meeting?
We will have.
Okay, and is that when Jens is coming?
It's up to Sandy. It could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to bring that up and ask if that might not be a good time.
Well, I think so, except I don't really know. I mean, Jens is going to come and talk about what we could, the things that we could do with the report, as far as I know. So that might be a good time.
Should I talk to Sandy about it when I see her tomorrow?
Well, if you want to, I mean, sure. Yeah. I think that, yeah, I thought, yes, although I thought that the purpose with Jens is to go over it with him and then we meet as a group with,
Oh, okay.
how to use it.
All right.
If that
Oh,
is my-
okay. That's right. I was thinking he was coming to talk to us about how to roll it out, but that's, the Conservation Commission would roll it out, but you're right. I think he's talking more specifically. Okay.
What do you mean by roll it out? What is
Well,
that?
to the public,
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Make it available.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
promoted and,
About it. So that was just a quick update, so that long awaited report is there.
Yes.
And so, the next item is the logo option.
Oh,
Yes.
my goodness. We have, thanks to Penny's computer savviness, we have two ready to go. And I'll pass them out. They have to kind of move around. This one is tied in with what would happen in an email. And it wouldn't necessarily always be my name by any means. Am I doing this right?
right, yeah.
And then this is a letterhead. So we went in different directions. We used Canva and regular program that Penny has and has had for a long time. And this seemed to be.
And we stole Lori's idea. Do you remember that was Lori's symbol that she, her graphic
her
that she used.
bird walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just seemed like it was a little decorative but simple. And Amanda is the recipient of any phone calls that come, and then she transfers them to whomever is important to be transferred to. And the idea was, we actually just within moments added the blue, which was different than an earlier one, which is just green. But the blue has water in terms of its suggestion of a stream. Yeah.
And the values of it can change.
Yeah.
Whatever,
But it was, it's been a culmination of getting together and really
Fumbling around.
fumbling around, and thanks to Penny for her ability to fumble with a mouse and a computer.
Now, I noticed also there's an email address.
Mm-hmm.
That's new.
Is that Amanda's email address?
It's
Karen?
No, it's
Underhill.
www.underhillvermont.gov/conservation-commission.
Oh, yeah, that's the website address, yeah.
Yeah. So if everybody feels as though that's something that we would want to adopt, let's do it. And we'll be that much more visible and professional and all that good stuff.
And I think the idea was Betsy and I started with letterhead just really to see, people don't send out many letters, but it's just a start for a logo to just see what would appeal, what would work, and then we can start putting it on flyers and using it in different places. And Lori probably sees more graphics than anybody else, so maybe Lori would have some ideas of where it would be used or appropriate, just to kind of have something a little bit more poppy.
Probably the top of the minutes, right? We could replace the little town of
Exactly.
Underhill and kind of use that. So, yeah.
It's sort of, I think eventually the whole group of organizations and commissions and committees are gonna have their own logo, or at least their, that's what I think I heard. I could be wrong.
I don't know, when we talked to Brad about it, long time ago, about adding to the current logo, to maybe just putting a strip down the side that says Conservation Commission, or a little ribbon underneath it that says Conservation Commission, just to identify ourselves. He said, just go ahead and change your logo, that's fine. So I don't know, that means the town isn't coordinating unnecessarily, but oh well, I don't know. We're starting, we're the first.
So this, I just think this is great that we have something that's visual and attractive.
Yes.
So that's that.
And maybe could even work somehow into Crane Brook, or I'm just identifying any number of things that were to be consistent, so it shows that it's a conservation commission.
It's very nice.
It's come a long way since the first one, which was very simple. So thank you, Penny.
You, Betsy.
Thank you.
Input.
Yeah.
Both.
Fun to work together.
Yes. Yes.
And it feels good to have that accomplished.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I think maybe a next step is really getting together with Lori to talk about where it could be applied, because you do so much on the computer and the like.
Yeah. And just send it in an email to us, and then
Okay.
we'll all have it, right? And not that, yeah. I mean, the minutes.
Yeah.
And the agenda could have it at the top.
Yes.
And anything that we print out.
I've created
Flyers and
Gmail
stuff.
signatures for everybody, but I don't know that everybody's on Gmail, so I don't know if you'd have to create your own if you're not on
Right.
Yes.
Gmail.
Did we ever hear from Brad about a potential email for all of us?
Yeah, he said that it would be coming down the pipeline
That's what
at some point.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. That would be great.
And just one other little quick thing. This is a letter that Penny has sent out to people who I wrote initially, but then with our logo, she sent this out to people who've shown an interest in the commission, and to remind them about meetings and give them a little bit of a oomph talk to.
Did they get an agenda? for this?
They did.
They did.
Get the agenda and the meeting minutes from last time. And I guess what I would ask is, I have a matrix of these people who are interested. And I think it might be advisable to talk about how long you think we should continue to do that, to send that thing, the agenda out before the meeting. Is that in perpetuity, or after 6 times we stop, or what do you think?
I think that we'd want to get through, at least do it through the summer, because people, this is summer. And,
Okay.
yeah, but maybe once September comes, by October, if they don't continue to come, I mean, the agenda is on Front Porch Forum as well as the other places
Okay.
every time it's posted. So I think that would be,
So that ends up being about 6 times.
6 times.
Six
So
times.
maybe if any new people sign up, then it'd be maybe 6 times for now.
now Penny, are you gonna keep track of that?
Yeah.
So for each, that's interesting, okay, good.
So I have that on the matrix, and I say when I send it out, so, or if anybody else wants to send it out, feel free. Everybody has access to the matrix, which is another thing that I have that on my Google Drive, and Lori has things on her Google Drive. And I don't know if sometime in the future, we'd have to decide now if people want to consolidate on somebody's, so it's not
Mhm.
personal, or it's all on Lori's, or
Mhm.
I don't know. Anyway,
It's true, we could make a shared drive for the Conservation Commission that could house all of the minutes and then just have it shared.
hmm.
And then other documents and things.
But you know what, we would want to get Brad's advice on that too, because you have to be careful what's shared from the commission members versus the public, or is everything shared everywhere, and who has permissions to change things versus just look at things. So I seem to remember he and Andrew talking about that.
Yes, but that was, I think, for the DRB.
Okay,
Because that's a
okay,
different-
different thing.
That's a different kind of a
Right,
Board.
that's right,
board, yeah.
right.
But maybe if you want to chat with him and make sure it's, I sort of remember that it was because it was the DRB, we didn't want people changing documents.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right.
I don't know enough about Google Docs, but if there's something that is a final, well, actually, you can edit any PDF in Google Docs anyway, so I just answered my own question.
Okay.
Yeah. Never mind. Yeah. Okay, so we have a lot of items for the Crane Brook Conservation District. Betsy wants to bring up some things. I want to bring up some things. And so it's, more than just one item. And, yeah.
And this is an example of where an idea about getting the minutes out and having a column to the right would be really helpful. But we can talk about that if we have time at the end.
Yeah, so do you want to start with? Yeah.
Oh, just that the area was vandalized, I'm gonna say, because all the signs were pulled off and taken down, and someone had a good party and there was a lot of garbage left. And I don't know what to do about that. I also was very surprised, and I don't know who was responsible for that, but the big rocks are all moved from the road.
Where are they
I
now?
was just there 2
Yeah.
days ago and they've been pushed over the
Right,
edge.
Oh,
yes,
Over
yes.
the edge, someone did
They're
that?
way
Toward the stream,
down.
you mean?
Toward the stream,
Oh, no.
which will be quite an effort to get them back.
It's been at least 2 weeks that that's been the
Oh.
case.
Oh, I didn't notice that when I was there. Because originally I didn't know anything had happened, and Sherry Moore sent me an email from.
Right,
And that alerted me. But by the time I drove over there, the bottles and things had been put together in a pile.
I took a bunch,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the ability to take the table and hope that maybe the town would pick that up.
Yes.
The table?
Yes, there.
Folding metal table
Oh,
and some really yucky stuff.
oh,
Yeah.
Anyway, at that time, the boulders were just as,
That's.
and I don't know how that happened or. We can only guess.
When we met with Anton, maybe a year ago now, wasn't there just a really like general conversation about a gate and like would that be a possibility?
We'd have to give access to the landowners that live to the north.
Mhm.
And there are, I think it's 3 or 4.
Mhm.
But I think that's difficult. They've talked about that before, and there are a lot of reasons why they didn't want to do it.
It's almost like if they had a special lock or something that the landowners knew the combination to and they could open it and get through and that but the partiers couldn't. I don't know.
I mean, I'm surprised at the amount of, there's some of it's small scale vandalism and some of it's larger. I mean, I still want to know who took that little bridge that was over the, further north.
What if there was a trail cam installed,
A what?
a trail cam installed at various locations? Would that be helpful or would that not be helpful?
That would be really helpful, and Brad is looking up the pricing of them so that we can do that, because that would be helpful, because
So what does that do then? Tells us,
who's doing vandalism?
Well, if you recognize the person, right?
Yes.
Recognize the people.
You might get vehicle license plates. And at the very least, you would see what wild creatures are visiting.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
A fun conversation.
yeah, that would be interesting, actually, to see what comes out at night or in off hours of the day. But so he's looking into that. I just wanted.
did you talk to him about that?
Yes,
So that-
yeah. I did that because it seems like we're always sort of picking up things, and it's sad that those lovely things that were on the kiosk were vandalized. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and even the sign that is on the Irish settlement end has been removed, which,
Oh,
so
Oh.
another idea is to establish a little more solid signage.
like permanent type structure.
Right.
Yeah. So Betsy, there was vandalism, but there wasn't any defacing of anything,
No.
right? Okay. And Karen, have you ever been aware of, I don't want to say it's not violent, but no, it's never involved shotgun shooting anything
Oh, yes.
or spray paint or
No,
anything like
people
that.
have shot the directional arrows on the trails.
Oh,
But it's a shotgun or something like that.
all
I've
right.
found shell casings on
Yeah.
the trails as well,
Oh, well,
which, can make you feel a little uncomfortable if you're there with your kids wanting to just go for a walk.
all right.
So,
Is there no hunting, trespassing signs, anything like that,
There probably were.
that were ever posted?
the no trespassing signs are on at the border with the private landowners, and I think that some of those are even removed as well. Yeah. So I find it just odd that it's happening at the Crane Brook, which is so sort of quiet and sleepy and beautiful, and when other towns have their town forests, like the Milton Town Forest, it's used a lot. It's not trashed. The beautiful signs and things are there, and nobody does anything.
Maybe it's because it's used a lot. Maybe because this is so private and remote. that
It's
people feel
getting
they
more
can-
use, but certainly not like
Mm.
the places that you're speaking of. We found campers there earlier this summer. I don't know if you remember me mentioning that at a meeting. People with a tent up and 2 young men.
On the meadow?
Yeah, right up by the parking lot. And then earlier in the spring, a fire circle had been used and had to be cleaned up. So it's got appeal.
So with the campers, did you speak to them or?
Yeah, we told them that
Kind of brave.
there was no camping and that they really needed to leave, and when we were back the next day, they were gone. So I don't think it was an ill meaning kind of thing, it's sort of an innocent.
Yeah, what a beautiful place. to find it, and then they have an evening there.
Anyway, it just is frustrating, and I know we all care about land and the
So
camera.
what's the plan? Is it to put signs back up to replicate everything? And do you need help doing that?
Well, I have some that I had made ahead of when I was asking to use the laminator earlier when I put the original ones up. I made some others to add throughout the summer, some about the background of the conservation district, and then my little bit about peatlands, and then the bird listing that we've had
Oh, nice.
seen, but I haven't put them up. I want to refresh again the ethics list and at least get 2 of those up.
How would you feel about painting? Is it our ethics and like, well, could we paint that right onto the brown of the kiosk so that could never be taken down? I mean, it could be defaced, but.
Yeah, I'd love to imagine getting someone to do that for us. And having a special place, some kind of a plaque or title, and I think that would make good sense to have a little more permanent.
What about adding a plexiglass cover? Would that be an option or a consideration that can be screwed on or lifted up or lifted down, just as a protection for some of the documents that get posted there?
Well, that could work. One of the things that was discovered is water seeps in,
Right.
and therefore, and these are really meant just to be very temporary until we have a plan for how to post, but that's definitely a good, I think there are, we've seen them, haven't we?
Yeah.
Karen, you sent out an email with is it called Crush? Is that it? The Crush Nature Preserve in Cambridge, about the signage there. You sent that out a long time ago.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. I think it was pretty expensive signage, but I think maybe they got a grant for it, for that signage. I remember you were seeing that email.
Well, yeah, I sent it out, actually, I was researching that because I sent that information to you too, but I did send it out, I thought it was very eye-catching. That must have been,
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Do you want some? Oh, that's the problem. He doesn't mean to, but he's.
did it bleed? Is it bleeding?
How about?
You want to wash it?
I'm okay.
I think that cat,
All cats do that.
cat scratches.
I just sent that out because
Yeah.
the year
that'd be
before
great.
they didn't have that signage. That's
Okay.
Yeah, how did it work out with Logan?
Excuse me. I haven't heard a thing.
Okay.
I responded, I messaged him about colors, and
I
he
should
was all
have
set
been
to
looking.
do that.
Yeah.
He mentioned 2 names. One was the landfill path, and I suggested that he consider it to be the meadow path instead of the landfill path. That was in an email, and asked him to please let us know if there were other things that we could help with, and that we appreciated what he was doing. But I haven't heard anything.
Okay, maybe he's working on it, maybe a summer project?
Well,
I thought I remember he said July 28th or something was his deadline, that he had to get everything done by, but he had to raise the money and the like, and it was really a short time frame.
I did send him another email saying that we were meeting and could he please, would he come? We'd welcome him to come and share what he, but there was no response. So I could try again. Or, I don't know.
Well, do you want me to reach out to him and just send an email? I mean, it may be that he's planning to come, but it's for next week, but we canceled next.
Yeah, I think I even included that.
Oh, okay.
Because I wanted to make sure he knew that we were meeting, and I'm happy to send him another note and just feel him out a little bit, and he was so enthusiastic.
Yeah. He was really.
I hope we haven't, I can't imagine my suggestion of another name turning him off.
No, because it's really now, the landfill is a name that it's more in the past, and people talk about the meadow, so.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So back to signage. I am happy to do a little bit of research this fall and see if there's plexiglass kind of thing that we could use. Find out. Amy, I checked in with Amy about who had made our signs that actually were a little more permanent than these. And that company is no longer, but she did give me the name of another company that she and Greg had luck with, so.
And also, Betsy, I don't know if you've noticed, there's a couple new signs at Mills Riverside Park. Donna was just showing me the other week, she's very enthusiastic about it. There's a dog sign, it says woof woof, I think at the top of the dog sign, and it's a permanent sign when you walk in. And it talks about how the dogs have to stay on leash unless they're in the off leash area. And it says yada, 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 bullet points. And then it actually says if you see a dog not on leash on the trails, you can call your town dog, what is Jennifer considered the animal control officer. And I think it gives the phone number. And in addition to that, it's got one of those QR codes on it that you can just put your phone on it to get to a form that you can report where you've seen a dog and what was happening. So, and that's a permanent sign that they just have, so they might have some, like Donna might have some information on how much that costs and who made it.
I guess I haven't seen this new signs.
It's nice looking, and it's, I don't know if they could ever make any changes to it, so they may have had to decide definitely what to put on it.
What's her last name?
Pratt.
That's
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
So I guess maybe sometime realistically in November, we could revisit the sign ideas and concerns.
Yeah.
And if anybody comes upon anything, please send it my way.
I haven't been walking there recently at all. It just seems like it's raining all the time. I'm ready to go out.
The mowing's been happening in good order.
But it's only a path, right? Yes. It's not the whole meadow. That's a one time. After butterfly season.
And nesting birds, maybe.
And nesting birds, yes. It's then I think we've got a good segue then to talk about monarchs. Or if we, does everyone, does anyone else have comments?
Did you have other things about Crane Brook?
No, I was going to talk about cameras in particular and just uh, that's it, I mean, really. Oh, yes, there was something else. Somebody has dumped, gravel further down the trail.
Oh,
And,
hopefully no jumping worms in that gravel.
oh gosh, I hope not.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's fairly large. Oh, you mean on that major through?
yes, yeah.
Yeah, the gravel is quite large. It's not soily type
Okay.
gravel. It's
Rocks.
large
Okay,
rocks.
it's not sure pack.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
It's just, perplexing to me that all this happens, but the town doesn't know anything about it. I mean,
Trail cams.
you know,
Trail cams.
so.
Do we need to do anything about, following up with the, knotweed down there that was such a effort and pretty successful?
It was very successful, and I noticed that there are sprigs of it now growing up again. I wish we hadn't taken up the mesh. The mesh is living over, no, I know where it is, at the town garage.
Oh, good, because
Yes.
it's not working.
No, it's at the town garage. I think they picked it up last fall
Oh, good.
in preparation for doing snow plowing in the parking lot across the way, so. Yeah, but now I wish we just left it. Because the other mesh that we did at the Beartown pit, it's similar to what you've reported. There, where the mesh is, it's small growth, knotweed. The unfortunately, the knotweed rhizomes have escaped out past the mesh, and that is regular size.
Huh.
But where the mesh is, it's sort of under control. Which then leads me to how far do we need to go beyond a patch
Oh,
to make sure that it doesn't, how far do those rhizomes want to go?
is there I would imagine there's a downside to leaving mesh in the ground or not? I mean, does it eventually rust and it's it's a hazard or it's an uncomfortable thing to have on the soil? Or is the idea just keep it on forever?
I thought it was a number of, I think that it was 3 years at Crane Brook Trail. And it's probably going to be about 3 years about this fall. Has it been that long or
I think it's been longer.
longer?
Because it was pre-COVID, wasn't it? That we
Well, it
were up there
was. Yes, it was.
working on that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Where it is at Beartown, no one would be walking in it. It's very close to where the solar panels are. And so that I think it can just remain there. I thought that we were so excited about the success of it by the Crane Brook Trail that we were going to pick it up and then originally use it down here
Oh,
at Moore
that's
Park.
right.
But we didn't. And in fact, that's the larger size mesh, which is not quite as effective as the smaller mesh, as we've learned
Oh,
from collectively other people using mesh too. They do that in England, and Andrea Shortsleeves, which is she's at Fish and Wildlife, has been experimenting it too, but a smaller gauge mesh is more effective. Yeah. Yes. I think I should probably make a trip to see how far. Have you been up where the knotweed was? Up there recently?
In Beartown?
Yeah. No, not in Beartown.
No,
Cranbrook.
not since the beginning of the summer.
I think I'll just go. I was out there hiking with somebody, but not within the last 4 weeks, I guess. But I'll go over there and check and see what it's doing. I noted where we were digging up the knotweed, where the parking lot was supposed to be, is growing again. And for that, I'm thinking, well, I'm wondering if we can just mow it, keep mowing it down, rather than.
You mean where it's in and out around those boulders and stuff?
It just is relentless.
Right.
And if you cut it or weed whack it, if you get any bits somewhere, it will grow, right? So also if it's on the blades of your lawnmower or near lawnmower or something like that, so you have to be careful or?
Have to be very careful about the crowns in particular. So that, that's where they come out with the brown.
Okay,
Yeah. I think that the jury is out on whether or not if it's just leaves.
oh, okay.
I'd always assumed it was, but then other folks say, no, not really.
Oh, well, that would be good.
I don't know. I just assume that it's so, it thrives so well in situations that it can just adapt and
Yeah,
grow. But perhaps it really has to have the
the
crown
crown.
to spread itself, or rhizomes that you
Mm.
pulled out. Yeah, definitely. So,
Well, if nothing else, it would be really nice to maintain that area in Crane Brook, where we work so hard to eradicate it. Might tie in with some of our planning.
yes, yeah. So we can,
When is the best time of year to combat the knotweed? Is there a preferred, like, does it produce, like you said, these heads that are, I just, like, is there a better time? Maybe, I'm also thinking like maybe when it's, if we do a work day, maybe when it's not quite so hot and humid.
I think with knotweed is almost any time. But I mean, for example, with honeysuckle, it's better to do it in the fall when they're starting, pulling them when the ground is moist, but also if you're going to get it before they make the little berries. That's
Before they seed.
Yeah, before they
When
seed.
does that happen?
That's late
Soon.
soon.
I mean, fall, early.
Early fall, so
Yeah.
it would need to be a work day soon then,
Yeah.
in the summer.
And I think in that area in particular, seeing it in the spring, what sprouting would be, really get it then before it has a chance to
Mm.
Spread.
dig in and grow a little more. To not let it establish itself again.
Well, I'll be out of town for the next couple of weeks, but I could join in a knotweed work day
Maybe September.
or late August or late September.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Then,
So is it likely that you might be able to see that in the next week and then before our next meeting, which is
well, my understanding is September 12th is the 12th.
I think it's the
You're not here. Penny's not here.
8th or the 9th, I think, isn't it? I don't know. What I mean is, if you were to see the situation, maybe we could come up with a couple of date options.
Oh, no, we could have a work day instead of a meeting. I mean, we've done that before. Yeah, the next Conservation Commission meeting is the 9th.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And so folks are away, some folks.
It'll start getting dark earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we could, yeah, well, I can go up there
Yeah,
this
just
week.
like, I'm
Stay
sorry.
in touch.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this week I can do that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I can do it either, maybe Wednesday. I think it's gonna be a sunny day. I could get up there, or tomorrow. I can do that. Yeah,
Don't miss your bed.
pardon?
Don't miss your bed.
I was gonna say after it arrives. Yes, okay, yeah. Okay, so that'll be the plan. So I'll go there this week. Give everybody an update. I can take some photos. I'm a terrible photographer, my iPhone, but, and then,
Just throw out a couple dates that are good for you and we can all chime in and See where we go from there. And we'll select the dates.
I think Steve had a list of folks that were interested, so if we do select a date, we should, I'll contact Steve and get that list of people that have been helping.
That's good.
Yeah, Dan. What's Dan's last name?
Stanley?
Dan Lee was pretty active in that process. It's nice to have a young, strong man. Really.
Willing.
Willing, yeah. Okay, so Monarch update.
Yeah.
Well, first I owe you all an apology for being MIA for so long. We had some unexpected priorities come up on our end, and we're not able to do what we'd hoped with our monarchs this year. We didn't even rear any, sadly. But we've been monitoring the monarchs. And I have some reports here from Monarch Watch that came out in February and June. And sadly, monarchs have had their second worst overwintering winter in Mexico.
Oh.
Like a 60% decline.
Oh, no.
And I think that may speak to why there have been so few around the area we've seen. But, monarchs just keep doing what they do. So we hope that, that there's an upward trend over time because they can lay quite a few eggs if all variables line up for them. And there've been some interesting articles that came out this year about just how impactful herbicides and insecticides have been for the monarchs in the Midwest, particularly in the soybean fields, and how the chemicals that they spray get absorbed into the plants, and then the unintended consequence is that that gets passed on to the larvae that are eating the milkweed in those areas, because as they're spraying their fields, the milkweed that touches those fields gets sprayed. So that's been some interesting research that's kind of been come out this year in terms of impact. Also, drought has caused further impact in that region, sort of the South and Midwest region. Fewer nectarine plants, fewer milkweed, fewer monarchs. So, the big push is for pollinator gardens, and they call these pollinator gardens geared towards monarchs, they call them way stations. And as you know, in Mills Riverside Park, they have a way station, and you have to get certified as a monarch way station by having a certain number of the correct types of plants, by tending it, by mulching it. And so fortunately, we have one here nearby, but really anybody with gardening experience can do a lot for monarchs just by planting the right kinds of flowers in their yards. As I was checking again today to see if any of our monarchs popped up on the radar over the course of, since last year when we really started tagged monarchs, none of them had, but I was reading some of the feedback from other people who had found monarchs along their migration route and seen them. They go in and they put little updates in the spreadsheet. I saw this one on my butterfly garden, and I did notice a lot of people have seen monarchs in their gardens. So planting gardens does attract the monarchs, and specifically the way stations and the monarch gardens, or any sort of butterfly garden, is attracting the monarchs, and people are seeing them all along the migration route and posting that, which I think is lovely. And not all of them survive. They may only find the wings of the butterfly, or they may find it washed up next to a storm drain. But if people find the tagged monarchs, there are plenty of people that do report that. And so I think, just furthering the effort of planting nectarine flowers and milkweed, and as a, you know, as a conservation committee, just encouraging that in our community is really helpful. You know, preserving habitat is ideal, and we do have Casey's Hill and we do have Crane Brook, and those are wonderful places that naturally have nectarine flowers and milkweed. So that's great. But even the DRNL garden and Mills Riverside, I think that's wonderful. And just, you know, maybe even if we consider doing, you know, if we're doing any of these talks, you know, sort of as you'd mentioned earlier on, you know, how to plant a pollinator garden or whatnot. I think that could be really helpful to people in the community.
Karen, what do you think about what was it, the garden out in front of the town hall that was supposed to be like a water garden, or what is
You
it?
mean the butterflies
At Moore Park.
on Moore Park,
Oh,
over
is
by
there
the
one?
bank.
No, I meant right here in front of the town hall, you know, there's
Oh,
that
it's a water filter.
water
garden.
filter. I
Yeah.
wondered if that could become, I think they're trying to clean it out now. I wondered if that, because it has, yeah, I think it was overgrown and weeds and whatever. I didn't know if that could, how water filled that is, or could it be a butterfly garden
I think, I mean,
or pollinator garden or?
well, it could be, but I mean,
I heard somebody say it doesn't work. You know, it's
Doesn't
not a working water filter.
Oh,
Like it wasn't really working. I wonder, maybe I could ask somebody at the.
well, then it had a lot of, people were saying a lot of weeds in the summer,
Right.
but those weeds also had blooms on them.
Mm.
And so they were useful because butterflies don't necessarily have to have echinacea all over the place. You
Or
know,
milkweed
Or milkweed or
Okay.
whatever. Yeah, but there is a butterfly garden close to the river. It's grown in a bit. That was
Thrown in a lot
yes. But that has, you know,
over at Moore Park.
yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's in the brush, so it's
Oh,
now. And I don't know how effective that was. I was going to say, though, this year, I have seen a few monarchs at my house, but the milkweed has come back. Last year, I didn't have any, I had very few milkweed plants. I don't know why. And now I have quite a few, so.
That's great.
I think.
I also have just an anecdotal observation. Yesterday, a couple of days ago, my boys and I went to Crane Brook, the meadow, just to go do, it was the Monarch Blitz 10-day. So this is something we may consider doing in the future as well. I know I have all these ideas, but I'm only one person, so
Yeah.
I can't execute on everything. But so during the Monarch Blitz 10-day period between July 26th and August 4th is when it was this year. You go and you count all the milkweed you can find and count all the butterflies and all the larvae and eggs and whatnot. So I did that with my boys at Crane Brook. And we just counted the milkweed on our loop around like we did last year for the workshops. And that was 38 milkweed that we were right on the path
Oh, really?
that we could count. And we only found one egg, no larvae, and we only saw 2 butterflies.
Mhm.
And I noticed, and then I went and we did kind of the same thing on our property, and we asked our guy who mows for us to mow around the milkweed. And we've noticed that when he does that, the milkweed that he mows around with his weed whacker have much higher number of bites. You can kind of tell where there have been monarch larvae because they leave these little round circles. And these are much more, we didn't find any, like one egg and one larva, one caterpillar on ours. But you can tell that they were there. And I know in the past few years, we've been able to gather a lot of eggs on these plants, on these milkweed. And I think it's because they have a lot more access to sunlight, and the butterflies have a lot more access to all areas of that plant to get in and lay their eggs. So that might be something that we can
Oh,
test if we were to do some sort of renewed effort at a Monarch way station here at the town, wherever, or in our own yards, or just in passing along anecdotal tips to each other.
so having milkweed on an edge
Is-
rather than
right.
in something.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, at least gives them greater access to those leaves. Whether in the end they're more likely to survive or less, I don't know, but I have noticed that they do have a greater number of eaten leaves. And so, yeah, we've had a lot of milkweed this year too, and I don't know, it seems like the milkweed came up earlier than usual.
Everything is, yeah, but really for sure,
Yeah,
bloomed so early.
yeah, that's how it seemed to me also. I went to the pollinator pathway event at DRML on June 24th, and I connected with a couple of people there, and I also received an email from Toby Schulman. Did you all receive that email?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so this is interesting. I just got an email about an event that they're doing on August 10th. I don't know if we want to co-post this on our website or not, but it would be the right kind of thing to support pollinator efforts in this area. It's called Open Pollinator Habitat Garden, and I can forward this to everybody.
Yeah.
Somebody locally has converted their yard space to they've made a rewilding of traditional lawn into a biodiverse sort of area, and part of it is a Monarch way station and wildlife habitat. So I can forward this to
Is
everybody.
that a tour that they're going to take of it? Is that the idea?
Yeah,
Ah.
so you can go through and see how somebody's converted their own yard into wildlife habitat in Jericho.
Does it say where it is? Is it Bernie's by any chance? Maps?
It says 1 acre NWF certified habitat garden. Doug Tallamy.
Oh,
Doug Tallamy's Homegrown National Park Project.
he's very involved in conservation. He's written some different, I think he's done some co-writing of books and things like that. I don't know specifics, but
Okay.
it makes sense that it would be on his property.
That's my son's birthday, so I may not be able to go. But I'll send it just in case anybody
And I'll
else
put
is
it on the
interested.
website.
And then my last thing I wanted to mention is, in the last issue of the Monarch Watch, newsletter that I get, there is a really neat program that I am just now becoming familiar with. It's called Symbolic Monarch Migration. And this is basically the idea that I sort of hatched in my own brain along the lines of, like, how can we connect our school here with the school in Mexico so our kids can do exchange, like some sort of pen pal exchange around the monarch migration. Well, there is a program. It's called Symbolic Monarch Migration. It's to promote a unique opportunity for students. It connects students in Mexico, the US, and Canada through the exchange of paper butterflies and letters that follow the migration of monarch butterflies. Classrooms, families, homeschools, zoos and aquariums, nature centers, libraries, youth groups, and others can participate to learn about monarchs and the importance of collaboration to support the monarch migration, which is great, right? Because you need this collaboration for the entire thing to work. You know, so there is a deadline and a $15 participant passenger ticket by September 30th. So I'm going to reach out to JES and see if they'd like to get into this, because I think it's such a neat idea. And I'll learn more about it. So I'll keep you all posted if they're interested. And I think that could be the first step into getting into the schools and promoting the whole Monarch.
Yeah.
program. Trinity, do you think that the bio blitz that you did with Gabriel and Dana, do you think that date or those dates we should sort of stay aware of for
Yeah,
next year?
I
And
do.
maybe
Yeah,
what were the dates this year again? It was
July 26th through August 4th. And I think it would be pretty neat if we could, like, I don't know. I know we want to do the Monarch workshops and stuff, but maybe if we just focus our effort on something that's already happening. It's the only Monarch effort that's happening internationally and specifically in the US. It's the only one that everybody does. So I think that would be a really fun thing to join in and maybe,
Sort of neat.
yeah,
To do.
and we could do it in different areas here too.
yes, and it might be a way to introduce people to the butterfly gardens and the Crane Brook and that sort of thing, right?
Right.
You're a bad kitty. You.
I'm not even making eye
You stay
contact
away
with
from,
him.
yeah, I know,
Yes,
it's like in New York
yes.
City, don't look at people who are parking,
Yes. So that sounds good. So should we move on though to the 5-year plan because it's 8:15?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And we then, do you want to talk about the bird walk and then?
Yeah, you want to
Oh,
mention
the
that?
bird walk is really quick. We need publicity and I'll confirm with Nav. It's either the 7th or the 8th of September and I won't be here.
Okay. Yeah, and you know what? I won't be able to advertise in Front Porch Forum either, so because I won't be here. So maybe that's
I can
helps to you.
I can do that.
Okay.
So would you be willing to do another little wonderful piece? That'd be great. And I'll get to Mav and see which of the 2 dates she would choose. And it's at 10 o'clock, she thought.
This is the hawk walk.
Well, hopefully.
Hopeful
Yeah.
hawk. Hopeful hawk walk.
Yeah. That should be.
And so Lori will do Instagram and Karen will do Front Porch Forum? Okay.
Yeah, I'll also do a sign up, right? Because we did a sign, like a Google form sign up
Yeah.
last time, so.
That was great.
Hopefully it was some hawks. That'd be fun. Okay. So, did you, as we start the 5-year plan, crosswalk,
It's a great name for it. I just didn't know what it was.
did you all have a chance just to look at the
Yeah, that climate action.
climate action or I just have one copy.
So Karen, I have a question for you. Who made you aware of this?
This?
Yes, the climate action.
Well, I was part of this group that was working on it,
Oh, okay.
okay? But as I pointed out to Sandy, I had thought that the town was going to endorse the climate.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and it wasn't the endorsement that I expected. I think they're using it and working with, the planning commission is using it, but it's not,
Oh, it's not adopted.
no, it hasn't been adopted. But there are things that we can do, and people are, gradually working on things. Some things it seems like they might be too daunting for us to take on. There are 6 of us right now. But that again, these would be things, one of them or 2 of them that we could add to our 5-year plan. I mean, I think it's very unrealistic to have do all of these.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was just the reason I was just asking is where you got it from was just, these are action items for sometimes one committee, which seems to be our committee for the most part, or our committee with another committee. And I was just wondering, is someone from those other committees also involved in making these decisions? As in, do we know, for instance, the select board is interested in investigating green burial options? It's Conservation Commission and Select Board. Do we know that they are, or that was just assigned to Conservation and Select Board, and somebody needs to pick up the baton?
I think it's been assigned.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, two of the things on the first page, the forested inventories, well, we're doing that right now.
Right.
And also the informational programs, which is part of what we do, is inform, provide education and things like that. So that's not, and having UVM or the state doing that with us, but some of them, it seems that it's too far a reach. I mean, I'm just being honest. I think for us right now to be doing that, because we have the other things. And there doesn't seem to be a mechanism. Sandy and I talked about Conservation Commission and Planning Commission getting together and have a meeting, maybe a dinner meeting or a joint meeting on one of our two. They meet twice a month, but we meet once, so we could maybe have a joint meeting to talk about some of these things, like the state fund.
Gee, how about all the committees meeting? And they partner
Yeah.
Conservation Commission with all of them, Select
Yes.
Board, DRB.
Yeah. And I think some of these we just got put into buckets. I wasn't at all the meetings, but but like the regenerative agriculture practices, I don't even, I think that that's really nice to do, but there are an awful lot of things. So in conversations, I think if we want to, we could pick one or two things, but we have to keep in mind we have.
Yeah.
I just wonder maybe we can ask Jens when he comes, because he's so knowledgeable, these are almost all high priority.
Yes.
And except for one, I think. And it just seems like, how do you end up deciding which one to take on when in the bucket, you're partnered with other people in the bucket, as in, should there be some sort of survey or with a survey monkey with the other commissions to find out if they were to prioritize the 4 that were assigned to them, are they prepared to work on one of them? And would that be the one we'd work on with them? And as I have a 5-year plan, we have 11 action items on the 5-year plan that we're thinking we're taking on, but we could substitute or try to take on some more. But I was also going to ask the question, coincidentally, with your sending this, is have we made any commitments with any other commissions or committees that Lori and I didn't know about to add on to this 5-year plan, as in the rec committee? Have we ever said we're going to do something with them or promised them, or
No.
the DRB, or have we made any commitments or
Well, we haven't. We haven't.
or suggestions to
I
anybody?
mean, we have a commitment with the rec committee that we, sort of
Is it Crane Brook?
the Crane Brook,
Okay,
but no, we haven't made commitments, because this is what, if we decide we want to choose something here,
okay.
then we maybe want to have a commitment. I think some of this just got put into different buckets because it seemed realistic, or it seemed like similars, but there's an awful lot here, and
Just seems like if we pick one, how do we know that maybe the planning commission wants the 10th one to work on, and we're saying, well, we want the 5th one to work on, but if we collaborated, we could do either the 5th or the 10th, something like that, because we're both in the same bucket on that. It seems like we do need to chat with other.
well, if we're looking at one and we say, oh, we really, really are interested in doing regenerative agricultural practices or one of these, then, oh no, that's the one where it's just us.
Hmm.
Okay, so if it's something else like land use or something, then we can connect with the respective
Okay.
group here. This was a long list of it. And this is only one section of it.
Oh,
Um,
there are more?
No, I mean, this is just the ones that have the Conservation Commission.
Oh,
There are other sections.
oh, that the planning commission's on all of those or the DRB?
Yes,
Oh,
or
okay.
something. It's a lot.
I see.
Um,
Karen, can we find the whole, where can we find the whole thing? Is it on the website probably? Under the website?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you suggest? Do we read this over and vote on it? Or what we should do as to which one or two or
Sure.
three we're interested
I
in?
think we should do that, yeah. I mean, and we can bring,
Should we make the old voting matrix and send it to people?
yeah,
By
see
email
which
again?
ones would make sense. But what can we couple what we're already doing?
Hmm.
I mean, I can see the education piece. We'll probably want to be a strong participant in the findings from the inventory and mapping
Hmm.
and be able to educate folks towards what the resources are that we have in our town, if they don't know. And things like that.
You know what? I bet Lori and I could kind of compare this with what we've already come up with and see what we're already meeting, and then maybe make a matrix or something for people to vote on the others.
Yeah.
If we want to take on anything else, but maybe pass it through you first, Karen, to see whether you think we're already meeting enough of them, something like that.
I mean, I'm looking what we have on our plate.
Yeah.
So, so I think we have to prioritize, I mean, that's what part of that meeting tomorrow is about. How do you get,
That's right.
yes,
right.
recruit people?
I mean, I remember hearing Jens say, Jens isn't a big invasives person, and
No.
Ethan is a big invasives person, right, for forests. And I remember Jens saying something like, why are people spending?
This conference will now be recorded.
What? Maybe I touched this? I don't think so.
Maybe I offended somebody. I remember Jens saying something like, why spend time pulling invasives or pulling knotweed when the world is on fire? So, and meaning to say, some of these are really important climate change issues, and we need to think through that too.
Oh, I think it's important for this group to decide which ones are really priority for us that we can fit in.
Mm.
I mean, well, these are all important, but
But if you can't do it, then
if we can't do it, we can't do it,
Mhm.
right now. It's supposed to be fun.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what is
That's it.
this isn't fun, climate change isn't working. So why don't Lori and I take, is that okay, Lori?
Yes.
Take on that
Yeah.
task of trying to see, and then we'll let you know about it. And
So do we want to talk about the cost of this?
actually, Lori and I never connected back up, and I'm sure she's getting ready for school to start again.
Yeah.
Can we make a plan after this, like
Yeah.
a date?
Yeah.
Pick a date. Okay.
Okay, so,
So we didn't get any farther.
No.
What actually we were on at the time was for us to get together with you and make a crosswalk,
Mhm.
whatever it's called. We need to first think through Trinity could help with this, on the Monarch butterfly projects. We need to look at the 11 projects and maybe more to just think through what some action items are, to then figure out when do those action items occur and how do we make a flow chart. That's what I was
Flow
thinking
chart?
of, a flow chart, but it's a crosswalk or
oh
whatever.
no, a flow chart is something else.
Oh,
Well,
when you showed us that you held one up and you said, like, this starts here and ends there, and then it starts here
Yes.
and ends there. What
Yes.
is that called? is that a flow chart or is that
A flow chart is
is that a
something
crosswalk? Or
that,
what is
that
it?
would be more like a crosswalk, although,
Oh, okay.
a flow chart is, flow chart is the different steps in a process. So
Yeah.
you start at the beginning and then you.
Right, it's sort of like this, Karen, but you said they didn't even do this right, that they should have had the
Well,
activities underneath each one.
well, that's how you really do that kind
Yeah.
of thing. You
And
have
what do
to
you,
break
what would
out.
you call this, though? What do you call this? So I refer to it correctly.
Well, I think it's, we could call it crosswalk.
Call this.
But
Okay,
when I had a job, we called it project. And this is our project plan and it's like
Yes.
that.
right,
Yes.
that's right.
Okay, so, but a flow chart is something where, let's say we're going to be building a butterfly garden. Okay, so what's the first step? Knowing what the pieces are.
Oh, yes,
So then what do you do? Then you go down,
Yes.
that's what a flow chart is.
okay,
And it
okay.
can go this way or that
Take it
way.
that way. Okay,
Yes.
so basically, the next step was for me and Lori, preliminarily, so everyone didn't get bogged down in it, was to think through what some of the next steps would be for these different items. Run it then by the group or run it by you. And then when we can agree on it, then make a flow chart or crosswalk to help us figure out
And then the other,
when we
Steps.
start, and what the steps are. So
Yes.
that's the next, that's sort of the process. Is that right? Like that would be the,
and those are the timelines.
yes, the timeline, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Lori and I need to get together to not bog everybody down and try and get some action items on here. And one of the projects is Monarch projects. So maybe Trinity can help with that, some action items on that.
How are you
Oh,
jotting down
there.
some notes?
Okay, great, great.
Okay, so speaking of that, the next time we get together as a committee, commission, will not be the 9th because there will be at least two, we wouldn't have a,
It'd be 3, 4.
it would be 3 to 3 if, if Patrick came, right? Yeah. So can't really.
Now, what you could, was it Brad or who told us that you can get, or maybe Brad was one, that you can get together and talk?
Oh,
We
we
just
could.
can't vote on anything or something like that? Like things can't be voted on, but it doesn't mean you can't have a meeting?
Well, we can get together and talk, I suppose if we wanted to, but if half of us are not here, then there
Be a short
would be
meeting.
it would be half of us making perhaps decisions that the other half might not like.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we could do that. We could still plan to meet.
Well, maybe not.
No, we could plan to meet. As long as we get some, because Laura, are you available on the 9th?
I am, yes.
Okay. Are you available on the 9th?
Theoretically.
Yeah. Okay, well, we could meet. The 3 of us can meet.
That'll follow the bird walk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'd really love to hear Lori's small talk.
Yeah.
So I wondered if you could save it till October.
Sure.
Fish.
On fish.
Fish. Yeah. Okay. So we have a plan. Okay, so we still will meet on the 9th.
And then, why would I have the meeting for the Conservation Commission? Oh, in October is the 14th. Because it must always be the second Monday then, right? Okay. So I guess Betsy and I would next see you on the 14th, which is Columbus Day. Is that called Indigenous Peoples Day?
Wait, it's not going to be October. Oh, it starts on a Tuesday or, yeah, it is a holiday.
So does that mean usually no meeting?
Well, we've had meetings, but then I have to negotiate with Brad to set up everything.
Oh, I see, okay.
What if he knows that we didn't really have a full meeting in September? Would he be willing to do that? More inclined to do this to help set up?
Well,
Or he just isn't gonna be here, is that it?
yeah, he wouldn't be here, but maybe they can set it up ahead and then we can just come in if we, was that the cat?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, 14th. I think I'm gonna be here. I know there's a trip to Maine, but I think it might be the third week, not this.
Karen, we can't easily ship to the Monday before, Monday after, right? Because that's DRB has their times on first and third Mondays, right?
Well, it does, but you know, one of the reasons I think that they're talking about who's in attendance and who isn't is we're not always keeping that schedule anymore.
That's true.
I mean, the Conservation Commission has really been bumped, or not
Yes.
bumped, but
Right,
I mean, you know,
right.
so, yeah, all right. We have our dates. And, all right, my next step is to go to Crane Brook. I'm gonna give you guys, send you a little email of what the state of the world is there. And I will give you a heads up on if Brad has been successful in finding some cams, trash cams. So that would be good. Yeah,
We're really kind of over, aren't we?
our meeting?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you have anything else to add before you?
Well, I'm not sure. I think it's gonna take some discussion and I don't know if this is the right time to do it. So maybe I could give it to you for, on the agenda for October.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to end the meeting?
I move that we end the meeting of August 5th.
I'll second it.
All in favor? All right.